Well presented and entertaining, but very one-dimensional. Absolute Drift is surprisingly enough a game based entirely around drifting. Let's just get one thing completely clear: if you don't like chasing leaderboards, then this really isn't for you. There are only two main race types, drifting and drift karna, both which are very reminiscent of games such as Dirt 3 and Grid. These can get fairly tense, as the main way to gain points is to chain the entire race while not crashing. The heartbreaking moment when you just glance a wall quickly turns into pure blind rage. However, this frustration is entirely created by yourself, as there are no goals to achieve at all. You don't even need to complete the races if you can't be bothered. Without aiming for a high score, the game is practically worthless, as most of the joy comes from finally linking together every drift in a race, and if you didn't, it triggers that part of your brain that says, just one more try. The game progression is completely done through free roam areas with various tasks to complete. They serve as a nice break between the races, as there's no real pressure behind them. They do get a little tedious, as the challenge doesn't really increase from area to area and the tasks are virtually all the same. It does however take place in a well decorated environment with various landmarks and references to Initial D. The soundtrack mainly consists of ambient electronic music, which makes for a relaxing experience when you just go flying through the areas without a real goal. I didn't find the music repetitive during my game time, as there is plenty to go around, which I think is critical in a game as simplistic as this. I did encounter one small bug with one car, where if I held the accelerator after pressing restart it would go backwards. Really, this is nitpicking, and besides, the AE86 is the only true drift car you'll need, and it works perfectly. What I like about this game is that the challenge is purely skill based. If something goes wrong, it wasn't because of luck, it's because I did something wrong. That doesn't stop me trying to argue that I barely touched a wall or that level design is completely unfair in the heat of the moment. But when the red mist finally clears and normality is restored, I know it wasn't the game's fault. In some ways, my valuation of this game is slightly biased, as this game is exactly what I like. But what I will say is that the game is very well executed, the music is spot on, the handling is enjoyable, and it does exactly what it set out to do. Even in spite of all this, I actually still don't think it's worth the full $8.99 price tag. It just doesn't have quite enough content. I achieved 100% completion in just over 6 hours, and that included a lot of retrying tracks just to get high scores. The game is well polished, but it doesn't add anything new to an existing and well-established race mode. To anyone which enjoys all of the aspects mentioned, it's definitely worth picking up in a sale for around £4, otherwise you're probably not missing a great deal. The clue was in the name, really.